Well, hello again. This is Xavier Navarro, and this is a short presentation about hard disks. This lesson is performed for my students of Grau Mitjà for Sistemes Microinformàtics i Xarxes and for the hardware class. So without further ado, let's begin with my small presentation about hard disks. First of all, we have to speak about hard disks in the sense that they are the most common way for us to store information. Okay, when we discuss, we will see a small chart that compares volatile storage with permanent storage, also called secondary storage. This is what hard disks are used for. It's something we use them to store information that should not be deleted when the computer is turned off. So basically, hard disks are used as hard disks are used for installing operating systems. If you remember the motherboard class, you will remember that actually the last thing the BIOS does when the computer is turned on is actually looking for the master boot record in our hard disk. Okay. Then we also install our software in hard disks. This is where we keep it. And finally, this is where we store data, user data. Of course, hard disks have not always been available for users. I remember the first computers using cassette tapes or floppy disks, but well, I'm old enough, and fortunately, we have like these more reliable and big devices nowadays. As I explained before, we need to do a small comparison between what hard disks are and RAM, because some of you do make mistakes when you speak about these two different technologies of storing data. First of all, hard disks are called secondary storage. That's because RAM is considered main storage. I mean, RAM is where the information that it's been currently processed is stored, whereas hard disks store the information that's going to be kept. Okay, therefore, RAM can be considered a volatile. RAM can be considered volatile. That means that when we turn off the computer, this information is lost. Whereas when we speak about hard disks, we hope that the information that we are storing in hard disk is being kept after the computer has been turned off. Okay. In addition to that, hard disks nowadays, especially, they are able to store huge quantities of data. We're speaking about terabytes nowadays. Whereas, how much RAM does your computer have? I guess you have about 8 gigabytes or 16 maybe if you're lucky. That's about the time, and every year it goes higher. So we're speaking about 200 times more capacity for hard disks compared to RAM. Finally, there's a speed difference. RAM is much quicker than hard disks. Yes, we can discuss about how solid state disks are really fast, but they are not so fast as RAM now. Okay, let's discuss a little bit the parts of a CD, of a hard disk. And however, in this description, we're not going to discuss about power or data transfer because, as you can see in the image, the power connector, and this is an EDE disk, okay? When you see this image, you will see that the power connector, in this case, it's called Molex, and well, we already discussed this connector in the previous class, and we're not going to speak about the IDE connector either, because this connector was also explained when we spoke about motherboards, okay? This is an example, but current disks, which use a SATA connector, have the same structure, okay? So basically the parts that we will discuss in this lesson are the platter, the spindle, the head, the actuator, and we will also discuss about the circuits that control the transmission of the data transmission, sorry. So basically, platters. The platters of a hard disk are actually the disks that we have. They're made from aluminum and they're coated in with a magnetic material which is subject to be changed because of an electric field. Okay. Um, this is how actually you record or you can read the information. I mean, with just magnetic fields, tiny, small magnetic fields. Uh, Current hard disks have from 1 to 4 platters. I mean, if you open one, you may have like 3, 4. That's the most common. Uh, they are the most common hard disks actually. Also, you have to realize that data is stored on both sides of platters. So you have one side on top of the platter and one on the other surface, okay, from top and bottom, and they're both coated and they both store information, okay. In addition to that, data is also stored logically, not physically, but it's stored logically. It's divided. It's the way we divide the disk in sectors and tracks. Tracks are like round circles, okay, and sectors are the pieces in which we divide those circles, okay. About the sizes we have available in the market. We have 5.25 inches, but those discs are already obsolete and we don't find them anymore. We have 3.5 a 3.5 inch hard disks, which are the most common ones, the most common ones in workstations, okay, the computers you may have at home. Then for laptops and portable hard disks, we're currently using a 2.5 inch size. And if you have an iPhone, sorry, an iPod, you will have the old small version of hard disks, which was 1.8 inches. Okay, but these ones are being replaced by solid state drives because of size. Okay. Now, where are platters? Because platters are not floating in space. Okay, they are held by a spindle. The spindle is where the plates, where it helps the disc, sorry, the platters to be held, but they also rotate thanks to this spindle, okay, to this axis, because it contains the motor that rotates. One important thing is that this rotation speed actually is constant. Yeah, you'd be surprised, but it makes sense. I mean, the speed has to be constant because it's the way you can store the maximum information in the least time. Imagine you also had to control speed. I mean, this would be much slower. Okay. You also be aware that disks actually rotate always in the same direction. Okay. So imagine that you had to stop the disk to go the other way. I mean, you would lose some time in stopping and going forward and backwards. Okay. And as I explained to you before, data is stored by means of electric impulses that record this information on the magnetic substance. Okay, very simple. Then how do we actually read the information? What's the piece of the hard disk that actually reads and writes the information? It's called head. Okay, each head is pressed or very close to the disk surface and is held by an arm called actuator. Okay, well, the actuator is actually the compound of the arm and the mechanism that makes the arm rotate. Okay, there is one head for each disk side because I told you that disks are written on top and bottom. So it would be very stupid to have just one head that would go up and down all the time. Okay, so we have like a double set of heads for each platter. Okay, heads are also moved by the actuator. As I've told you, that's a mechanism that moves the head from left to right. And then this way, with this rotation, with this arm movement, that's how the head can reach the whole surface of the hard disk. Finally, the electronic parts, the electronics that makes the hard disk work is called the controller. Controller is basically a set of chips whose function basically is translating the data impulses from the cable to the disk and also controls what information is to be looked for or where the information is to be stored. Okay, basically it's like the circuitry that makes things work. So that's about it. I hope you liked the small lesson and I hope to see you very soon. Thank you.